All right, so today we are going to do the plant organs, roots, stems, and leaves review sheets. You may need to use the PowerPoints that were done in previous weeks, the one that we did on roots, along with ones we did on stems, in order to complete this. Also, doing a quick Google search would also give you the answers if you don't want to look at those PowerPoints. So our first section here is true and false statements. Stems absorb water and minerals and transport them to the roots. That is going to be false. The roots actually transport these things to the stems. Roots contain dermal, ground, and vascular tissues. That one is going to be true. They do contain these different types of tissues. That's how they transport their water. Number 3, many plants with taproots use the root as a place to store food. This one threw me off a little bit because I immediately wanted to say no, plants don't use roots to store food. They just use them to transport water. But in actuality, plants do use their roots to store food if they have a big enough root. Number 4, fibrous roots anchor the plant less securely to the ground than taproots. That one is true, and it's really noticeable in pine trees during big windstorms. Those things will just be uprooted right away, and they'll lay on their sides until someone comes back and puts them back in the ground. Root hairs detect gravity so that the root goes downward. Now, root hairs may not detect gravity because they are just little outpouchings of the root itself. The root does have cells that will sense gravity, but the root hairs are simply just there to cover more surface area and get more water. Mycorrhizal relationships allow the plant to absorb more water. So that is a special type of fungus, and it has a great relationship with roots because it does actually allow the plant to absorb more water. Secondary stems grow from internodes on the primary stem. That one is going to be true. That is how secondary stems go about growing. They have to come from a node on the primary. Number 8, some plants have stems that can store water during dry seasons. And that is also true. Think of a cactus. It has a huge stem and it stores water during the dry seasons. Number 9, the only function of stems is to bear leaves and flowers. That's false. It's a big fat false. They do the stems and the leaves and the flowers, but they also can store food and water for the plant. Number 10, the width of a tree ring represents a single year's growth in the width of the tree's stem. You guys are very familiar with the rings of trees now after that whole unit we did on dendrochronology. That is true. 1 ring equals 1 year. Number 11, the leaf petiole does the majority of photosynthesis for the leaf. That is going to be false. The petiole actually just pushes the leaf out a little bit so that it can photosynthesize, but the mesophyll cells are going to be the ones that do the photosynthesizing. Micropyles are the leaves of flowering plants. That one is going to be false. Number 13, plants with basal rosette of leaves are taking advantage of higher temperatures close to the ground. That is true. If you're not sure what a basal rosette is, you could Google that one really quickly. But it's there more for protection for the root system, so it helps to kind of keep it warm through the winter months. A lot of plants that die off in the winter tend to have these. Number 14, compound leaves are made up of a number of leaflets. That one is true. They have a bunch of leaflets. And 15, deciduous leaves change color in the fall when their chlorophyll breaks down. That is also true. The next part here is a critical reading, and then there are 5 questions to answer. So we'll go through and I'll read this first, and then we'll do our questions. The tip of a root is called the root cap. It consists of specialized cells that help regulate primary growth to the root at the tip. Above the root cap is the primary meristem, where growth and length occurs. Above the meristem, the rest of the root is covered with a single layer of epidermal cells. These cells may have root hairs that increase the surface area for absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Beneath the epidermis is the ground tissue, which may be filled in with stored starch. Bundles of vascular tissues form at the center of the root. Wax layers waterproof the vascular tissues so they don't leak, making them more efficient at carrying fluids. And secondary meristem is located within and around the vascular tissues. This is where growth and thickness occurs. The structure of the root helps them perform their primary functions. What do roots do? They have three major jobs: absorbing water and minerals, anchoring and supporting the plant, and storing food. Absorbing water and minerals, thin-walled epidermal cells and root hairs are well suited to absorb water and dissolve minerals from the soil. The roots of many plants also have mycorrhizal relationship with fungi for greater absorption. Anchoring and supporting the plant. Root systems help anchor plants to the ground, allowing the plants to grow tall without toppling over. A tough covering may replace the epidermis in older roots, making them rope-like and even stronger. Storing food. In many plants, ground tissues in the roots store food produced by the leaves during photosynthesis. So picture a plant's root cap. It kind of looks like a little hat that the root wears. What additional function might it have that is not described above? Well, think about what you would do if you're wearing a hat. Most of the time you wear hats if you're going outside and it's going to be sunny, or maybe if you work in construction, you wear a hard hat. Why do you wear it? And you wear it for protection, right? You want to protect your head. So a plant's root cap would also protect its root. How do the root hairs increase the surface area for water and mineral absorption? All they do is give a wider area for that water to be absorbed. What are the three main functions of roots? That one is going to be right here in this last sentence. They have three major jobs. They absorb water and minerals, anchor and support the plant, and they store food. And what does the secondary root meristem do? Here's secondary meristem is located within and around the vascular tissues. This is where the growth and thickness occurs, so it's going to be making the plant wider and stronger. Now we have 8 multiple choice questions. The main difference between a taproot system and a fibrous root system is, so take a look at those answers there. I would go with A being the best answer. Taproots can store a lot of food while fibrous roots do not. Fibrous roots are going to be a little bit thinner. They're more for water. Taproots grow really thick and really long, so while fibrous roots can do some food storage, they can't do much in comparison to a taproot. Number 2, roots grow downward because they have gravity sensing cells in their root caps. That's going to be D. Let's go up here and do number 4. In stems, the blank meristem is responsible for growth and length, and the blank meristem is primarily responsible for growth and width. So it's going to be the primary secondary option there. Primary is going to be doing the height, secondary is going to be going wider, so B. A main function of the leaf petiole is, for number 5, we're going to go with A for that one. We're going to extend the leaf blade away from the stem so that it can collect sufficient sunlight. You don't want the leaf to be shaded by the stem. Moving on down. Number 6, very thick stems are specialized for, if it's really thick, it's going to be really good at strength and support, so B. Clinging and climbing isn't really necessary for the stem to be thick. Food and water storage, that might help it for being thick, but I would go with strength and support. Number 7, leaves arranged in whorls are optimized too, so you want to collect sunlight from all directions. That way that plant is not missing anything. And now we'll hop back over to number 3, the xylem of the vascular tissue in the root. That is going to be carry water and minerals from the root up to the stem. Number 8, the air spaces in the leaf interior. So we're probably talking about leaves that are more aquatic-like. So we know we're going to make them float, and if something is going to float, then it probably has to be relatively lightweight and really good at dispersing its body weight if it's not. So we're going to go with C, make the leaf weigh less than a leaf with packed tightly with cells. Now we have some definitions, and you have a word bank over here on the right-hand side. And then we're going to be using those words as well down here in the lower section. So photosynthetic leaf cells. Those are going to be E mesophyll cells. Number 2, increases the surface area for absorbing water in a root. That one is going to be I, it's a root hair. Let's go over here to number 12 real quick so that whenever I scroll down, we don't have to come back up. Has multiple spreading roots without a primary root. That one is going to be D, your fibrous root. Okay, so now we can go back over here to number 3, the type of roots a plant has. That one is going to be J, what type of root system does a plant have? A plant that keeps its leaves for more than 1 year. Those are going to be your evergreens, your Cs. Number 5, a leaf pore flanked by 2 guard cells. That is K, the stomata. Number 6, a plant that loses its leaves yearly and grows new ones. That's what we have around here, deciduous plants. Number 7, a thick primary root, often growing deep into the soil. It's going to be a tap root. Down here, L. The outermost woody covering of a stem is going to be A, the bark. Number 9, the tip of the root is going to be H, the root cap. Number 10, the part of the stem from which secondary branches grow. That's F, the node. And number 11, the leaf part that supports and displays the leaf blade. It's going to be G, the petiole. Now, these next ones, you're going to be using the same terms again. The definitions are slightly different, so we'll do the best we can with these ones. There is one in here that is super confusing. The leaf blank is connected to the leaf petiole, which is a very important photosynthetic part of the plant. So the only thing that's connected to the petiole, I believe, would be the node there. So we're going to go with an F for that one. A blank can grow deep into the ground, excess water, and also store food for a plant. That one's going to be L, the taproot. There are 2 main types of these in plants for absorbing water and minerals. That is going to be J, the root system. Number 4, in the fall, it's going to be B, the deciduous plants are going to lose their leaves. Number 5, the blank can close to reduce water loss from the leaf. That's going to be K, the stomata. Down here now. Even though part of it is non-living, A functions to protect the living parts of the stem. That is going to be the bark. Part of it's living, part of it's non-living. Number 7, blank consists of photosynthetic cells located between the upper and lower epidermis. It's going to be E, the mesophyll. Plants with a blank root system are less securely anchored to the ground. That is going to be D, the fibrous root system. A pine tree is an example of C, an evergreen plant. Leaves and secondary stems grow out of the stem. Now, originally I had node for that one as well, because nodes are also on the stem. And number 11, blank or long, thin cells in the epidermal layer of the roots. That's going to be the root cap, H. The leaf is attached to the stem via the G, the petiole. So we actually use node for 2 of those. I'm not sure where root hair fits into this particular section. If you guys think that I messed up on one of these, because I feel like I may have, definitely let me know. You figure out where root hair goes, because I'm kind of stumped at this point. Critical writing. Not all plants' stems are the same. Name and describe 3 different stem types of plants and how they adapt a plant to its environment. So here I want you to just do a basic Google search. You could type in 3 different types of stems. You could think about different areas that plants grow and maybe look up what type of stem they have, like look up a cactus and a rose, or an orchid, and then, see what their stem does for them. What is their use? And that is it for that particular assignment. All right, guys, I will talk to you later.